Yo, what is up guys? It's the Goblin and welcome back to another Call of Duty Black Ops Cold War video. In tonight's video, we're going to be talking about the best class setup for this KSP 45 submachine gun. Now, this is a burst submachine gun in this game, and it reminds me a lot of any weapon out of all the Call of Duty games, probably the Chicken CQB, or as we called it back in the day, the Chicken Barbecue from BO2. And that weapon, just because it's in a Treyarch Black Ops game, and it's a similar burst SMG. Now, the KSP, in my opinion, this is a weapon where you do want to use an OPTIC on it. Most of the SMGs have pretty decent iron sights or like default sights, but I do like the red dot or an ELO sight or some sort of microflex sight on this weapon. And here's the overall best class setup, and then we'll go over the best attachments. Now, with this weapon, I think it's a good weapon in this game, but I do like to run it with the 6 perk setup and 5 attachments. So if you guys could drop a like in this video, that would be absolutely amazing. Smack that like button. Let's go ahead and go for 108 likes. If we could hit that, that would be amazing. Subscribe to the channel if you guys are new and not already subscribed, and let's go through it. So KSP 45, of course, Gallo SA12, pretty standard as a secondary. You usually want to use one of these shotguns as your secondary. Stim shot, Semtex, and field mic, pretty standard stuff I run across the board here on the class setup. Stim shot definitely is the way to go on the tactical. Lethal is honestly up to more of a personal preference. These top 3, in my opinion, are the top 3, and it just depends. You know, if you're on a map where you want to bounce grenades off the walls, frag grenade. If you're on a map where you want to chuck the grenade really quickly and then just get out of the way, like a Nuketown or something like that, or a Crossroads, Semtex, or C4 if you do like to use C4s. Honestly, C4s, like, they are pretty good in this game. They're decent, but it's not like the glory days like BO2 with C4s. Those were just absolutely out of this world, and they're a lot more balanced in this game. Field mic, as far as a field upgrade, that's my personal favorite and go-to on pretty much every single one of my class setups. Now, as far as a perk setup with this weapon, flak jacket, tac mask is the pretty standard stuff. Now, usually you want to start off with both of these. If you find that because you can customize your class setups in the middle of games, if you find that the enemies aren't using it, like, they're not really hitting you with grenades or explosive damage, or they're not really hitting you with flashbangs or stun grenades or gas or all that stuff, then you can swap out one of these to forward intel. Now, forward intel is a pretty good perk in this game, honestly. Most of the good perks are in the first perk slot and the third perk slot in this game, which is unusual because in previous CODs it's been that second perk slot. But forward intel is pretty nice for just getting you more intel because of the minimap, and you can definitely swap that out. But the flak jacket and tac mask, this is more of one that's a nice to have, but these two sometimes are just really required. If the enemies are spamming you with the grenades, you really just want to stick with those two. It's just up to, because you can switch during the match, you don't really have to worry about it too much going into it. Scavenger, quartermaster as far as my perk 2. Now, depending on the map, you don't necessarily need scavenger on this setup. It just depends. If you're on a map with a lot of those like easy access to those little ammo crates, then you can go ahead and take off scavenger and probably rock with assassin or quartermaster. Gearhead is also decent on this setup, but I really do like quartermaster and scavenger or assassin, just depending on what you want here. I really think that perk 2, while they're not the most useful, like they're definitely the weakest perk slot, there's quite a bit of competition because they're all really not that useful, right? Like, scavenger's cool in certain situations, assassin is just some bonus points basically, quartermaster is just quicker equipment, and gearhead is just quicker field upgrade. So it's really just like, it's kind of up to your personal preference. Quartermaster and assassin are definitely nice if you're not going on long streaks. You don't need the scavenger. I would probably rock with those two. And then as far as perk 3, gung ho and ninja are the go-tos, I would say, on this class setup. Gung ho, although because this is an SMG, but you don't really want to be like right up beside them because of how this weapon works, being a burst weapon, where it's usually going to, like, you're going to be killing your enemies in 2 bursts usually, because you're not going to be able to hit every single shot, or that's just how, this weapon, you can really rely on it to kill in 2 bursts. But of course, if enemies are weak, or you can get occasional like 1 burst kills, enemies being weak and different stuff like that. So you could rock ghost if you don't want gung ho, because I guess you could say, like, gung ho is nice because of just the abilities to move at speed while reloading, and just a bunch of, like, you can read what it does. All those little things help you out. But ghost also is very nice because UAV spam. So I'd say, honestly, you probably start off with ghost and ninja. Gung ho, just if it's on a smaller, more fast-paced map, maybe you can go with that. So there you go as far as a setup there. Now, as far as the attachments I rock with on the KSP, as far as attachments, like I said, you do want to go with an OPTIC sight, and me personally, I do like the millstop reflex a lot in this game. It's a 1.37, but I use that more on assault rifles or on tactical rifles and stuff like that. Microflex LED has been my go-to on SMGs. If I do want to rock a sight, you could rock it with no sight, but me personally, I like to run a sight with this thing, and Microflex LED is the way to to go to. Now, because of that, rocking that sight, I take away my handle, which usually you want to go with the bottom handle, which gives you the ADS time, flinch resistance, which sounds really good, but it's honestly not as important in this game as it's been in previous CODs. And you get 30% on the ADS time, but minus 15% on the sprint to fire and minus 10 on the shooting move speed, and the ability to aim while going prone, which drop shotting isn't that great on a weapon like this. This is more of, it's an SMG, but it's a burst SMG, which has a really different play style. So these are 5 attachments I go with. The optic, you can use a different optic of your choice. I like the Microflex LED. SOCOM Eliminator, standard muzzle, 85% muzzle flash concealment, 17% on the vertical recoil control. Barrel, the bottom barrel, which gives you 6% increase on damage, which takes your damage from 50 to 53, which is whatever, I guess, really. Like, it doesn't really make that much of a difference, but the 50% on the effective damage range does help, and 75% on bullet velocity is huge. On SMGs, bullet velocity is very, very important and big in this game. Now, you could, instead of that, go with, because people really like bullet velocity, this one gives you 75%. This one gives you 100%, but look what you lose. Minus 25% on your aim walking move speed. In my opinion, that's just really not that much worth it, because you're missing out on your effective damage range, and you're getting a little bit more on the bullet velocity, so you will be able to kill them a little bit quicker. But on the range that you're going to need bullet velocity to really kick in for you, you're also going to want effective damage range. So the bottom barrel, which is just pretty classic in this game, that how they sort of rig the attachments so the latest unlocked ones are the best because they want people to grind up the weapon levels. So the bottom barrel, as pretty much on most of the weapons, it's going to be the go-to, and it's the same with this weapon. Now, I miss out with the body and with the underbarrel. If you do run an 8 attachment setup here, you could go, I'd probably say go with the SOF target, and as far as an underbarrel, go with either sprinting move speed or the plus 3% across the board. Those are nice on the underbarrel because you don't lose anything. All these other ones, like, they give you some decent stuff, but you get negatives, which is so, it's like it kind of counteracts in a way, and that's why I'd rather just take, look at this, like bonus 3% on everything. I'd probably say go with the bruiser grip, but this is the 5 attachment setup. Obviously on the 8 attachment setup, the airborne elastic wrap, which is standard once again, because the last one, how they make the last one, pretty much the best on a lot of the attachment slots. Same thing goes for the magazine size. Now, you get a 48 round mag with this, and also 40% on your reload quickness, which is pretty nice. It gives you, basically with this weapon, like, you do have the ability to reload pretty quick, and all these other ones, you can see how they go. Like, you can just see the different magazine size. You can see that you can go with like a 30 round mag, but it's worth it. 48 rounds, which on a burst weapon, it's pretty nice. And then the ability to reload quick. And like I say on a lot of my class of videos, and a lot of just how this game works is, as you're ranking up through the ranks, reloading is kind of important. When you're rocking with 30 rounds, you're going to have to be reloading all the time. But when you're rocking with 48 and it's a burst weapon and you have plus 40% on the reload quickness, you really don't have to be reloading after every kill, and taking your time with those reloads and not getting caught in a reload is an important thing to practice and work on in this game. And then as far as the stock, the Raider stock, once again, the bottom attachment, because, just why wouldn't you want to go with this one? Now, you lose 30% on your hipfire accuracy, but this is not a hipfire weapon. This is a burst SMG, which you want to be playing with the enemies at more of a mid-range SMG. Not mid-range as far as like what an AR's mid-range would be, but mid-range for an SMG. And you get that 30% on the sprint to fire time, 10% on the aim walking movement speed, which is nice. And but mainly that sprint to fire time is pretty key. And both of these are pretty key, honestly. It's just a very good attachment. So you can see, as far as like a lot of these class ups in this game, it's about getting those last attachments. Optic is up to your preference. SOCOM Eliminator is the second to last one, because I don't really see a reason. This is not the weapon that you want to go with a stealth sort of setup on, because you're losing damage range, which just makes it, sometimes you're gonna have to shoot more bursts, which is very inconvenient with a weapon like this. And then the bottom barrel, the bottom magazine, the bottom stock, pretty standard class setup here across the board. Your 6 attachments, which once again, this is good to start off with, and then you can customize it as you go, like in the middle of the games, or depending on the lobby, the map, and your enemies you're facing. So that's what I would say as far as the best class setup for the KSP 45. I don't think this weapon is not that good in this game, but it's fun to use. Burst SMGs are something unique and fun to use, and this weapon, it's not going to be able to compete with like those top tier SMGs up close for the most part, but you are going to be able to do decent, I would say, at that more mid-range SMG. And especially if you're catching enemies, if you're playing on a map like Nuketown or different other maps where it's a lot of like just a cluster of enemies and teammates always fighting, you can, when enemies are weak, pick them up really easy with one burst, even if you're not hitting all those shots, because enemies are going to be weak, and you do whatever it is on like 50, what was it, 53 damage, or we can see right here, once again, you do, yeah, 53 damage, 50 standard plus the 6% increase, 53 damage per shot on this thing, and it's a burst weapon. So hope you guys did enjoy this video. Thanks for watching. Drop a like on this thing. That'd be absolutely amazing. Subscribe to the channel if you guys are new, and I'll catch you in the next one, and I'm out. Peace.